Today we're making the traffic cone block from the Mighty construction site quilt. This is one of the simplest blocks in the quilt and a great place to start if you're learning foundation paper piecing. I'll walk you through the entire block step by step. If you want to follow along with the pattern, the link to download it from our Etsy shop will be in the comments below. Alright, let's get started. To start, I like to color my pattern to mark what colors of fabrics I want. If you print it out in color, that's not a big deal. Then next, I will cut out my pattern. You'll notice here that I took off a little piece on one of the papers, not on both, so that I can line that up and tape it along that mark so that I know that I am taping the pattern where it should be based off of the printer lines that it gives me. And then I will continue cutting out the rest of the pattern around that dotted line. Okay, we've got it all cut out and taped together, and now we will start with number 1. So the first piece is an orange piece, and I am going to put the right side facing out on the paper. So the back of the fabric is going to be touching the paper, and then I like to pin that down just because there's nothing holding the fabric to the paper. Alright, so that's the easiest part to step number 1, and now we're going to move to number 2, which is a white stripe. And I am going to get my piece of fabric, make sure that it covers that block, which it does, and then I'm going to put the fabric right sides together, so pretty sides facing together. That's different than what we did with step 1. Step 1 we did pretty side facing out. Now the pretty sides are going to be facing each other, or right sides facing each other. And just make sure that it is lining up so that you can sew along that line. Alright, we did it. With foundation paper piecing, it is very important that you are as accurate as possible sewing along that black line, because it will make a difference, especially when you're combining sections. So I have pressed that fabric flat, and then I fold my pattern back on the line so that I can then trim the excess fabric with a 1/4 inch seam allowance there, and then I will fold the pattern back so that I can add the next number. This next one is another white one that we're going to put on the other side of number 1, so you're basically doing the exact same thing that you just did with number 2 as you're doing with number 3. So you line that up, right sides together. You know that line for your pattern is right there, so that's perfect. And then you will take that and sew again along that black line. Alright, we've got that second seam there. I'm going to show you a little bit better me folding the pattern back. I'll just use the seam that I use to help me fold that paper back. Make sure you fold the pattern back, otherwise you're going to cut your pattern off. Alright, so then you take that, you cut off that seam allowance, and then you press your seam. So we've done 1, 2, 3, go back to 4, and then just line that piece of paper up again, right sides together. Make sure it fits. That one didn't fit, so I had to cut a second piece of fabric, or just use a bigger piece of fabric so that when I folded it over, it would actually cover that entire section of orange that it needs to cover. Alrighty, so I just went ahead and finished the rest of those vertical lines because they're all going to be exactly the same. This is me folding back my pattern to give myself that line so that I know where to line up my fabric when I do these little triangles on the side here to help create the cone shape. And then you are going to repeat these steps until you have done all of the numbers in your block. And that's our finished traffic cone block. If you're following along using the cone pattern from the construction series bundle, the steps are exactly the same as what we did in this tutorial. The only difference is that the bundle version includes 1 or 2 additional pieces, so the cone ends up centered in the block. The version we just made in this video is from the Mighty Construction Site Quilt series, so the cone is intentionally a little off-center to fit the overall quilt layout. If you like the pattern, the link to our Etsy shop will be in the comments below, and make sure you subscribe so you can follow along with the rest of the blocks in the Mighty Construction Site quilt series. Thanks so much for sewing with me today, and as always, happy sewing!